Week 7 preview. It's a rematch of Super Bowl 58, the Kansas City Chiefs at the San Francisco 49ers. Kansas City Chiefs have started off 5-0. The 49ers, on the other hand, are 3-3. Not exactly what you expect so far from the Chiefs. I'm going to run down the scores from their first 5 games. They're coming off a bye week, and we know that usually means success and victory for the Chiefs. They had the first game of the season. They hosted at home against the Ravens. It came down to about an inch, and they held on and defeated the Ravens 27-20. Week 2, 26-25 at home against the Bengals. At Atlanta, 22-17. At Los Angeles Chargers, 17-10. At New Orleans Saints, 26-13. So they've been close games. Chiefs aren't blowing teams out. The 49ers are 3-3. They are at the top of their division. NFC West is not a strong division. 49ers really should be 5-1. They lost a game against the Vikings. Didn't know the Vikings were going to be good. They just can't win in Minnesota. Then they blew fourth quarter leads on the road against the Los Angeles Rams, and then at home against the Arizona Cardinals. And those are 2 of the worst regular season losses I can ever remember a good 49ers team losing. 2 games like that. They were embarrassing losses. But even after that, they're 3-3, and they're coming off a strong win up in Seattle. Both teams have sustained a lot of injuries to begin the season. Both teams, though, are coming into this rested. The Chiefs had a bye week. The 49ers played on the previous Thursday, so they've had about almost a week and a half off coming into this one as a mini bye. And I feel you have to throw out a lot of what we've seen in the past between these 2 teams, because the personnel changes so much. The players on the field are different. There have been these key injuries. The Chiefs are without a lot of their playmakers. The 49ers don't have Christian McCaffrey. This isn't the Chiefs team that's putting up a lot of points. And the 49ers defense is quite different. But what you do have is the key players on each side are still there. The big 3 for the Chiefs being Mahomes, Kelsey, and Chris Jones. For the 49ers, Brock Purdy. Yes, there's no Christian McCaffrey, but you have George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and defense, Bosa and Warner. Now, I think we're set up for a close game, and you've seen all those games that the Chiefs have played. They're all been close. They're winning. They're finding ways to win. And the strength of this year's team is the defense. That was what we saw in the playoffs last year. And that's been the same case this year, is the Chiefs' defense. Now, I can simplify this game for you. And it's almost the same thing I said last year in the Super Bowl preview. I'm a 49ers fan, yet I chose the Chiefs to win. They did win. Didn't turn out exactly like I thought it would be, but they did win, and this is how I see it. Call it oversimplification all you want, but let's go through it. The Chiefs have the better coach. The Chiefs have the better quarterback. The Chiefs have the better defense. And if I need one more, the Chiefs have better special teams. That's huge. And Andy Reid, coming off bye weeks, is as good as any head coach there's ever been. And Kyle Shanahan's a very good coach, but he's not Andy Reid. And Steve Spagnuolo, when you're talking about just a coaching advantage, Steve Spagnuolo is one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time. You have to say that at this point, between what he did with the New York Giants and then what he's done with the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the greatest defensive coordinators there has been. But let's talk about matchups. But even before we get to matchups, turnovers. If the 49ers are going to win this game, no more than one turnover. They can't have mistakes on special teams. They have got to tackle and make halftime adjustments, which the Chiefs have made in those 2 Super Bowls, and which has continued to be a problem. 2 glaring problems for the 49ers in this season is halftime adjustments, or you could even make it more specific than that, fourth quarter adjustments and fourth quarter meltdowns, which has happened in the 2 Super Bowls, and we've seen it in the Rams and Cardinals losses this year. And it's one of the most frustrating things, maybe the most frustrating thing, with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach of the 49ers, because it keeps happening. He does not seem to learn from past failures. And that is one of the most difficult things right now about being a 49ers fan, is you just keep seeing the same thing over and over again. And when you repeat the same thing, what is it? It's insanity. You know, I'm tired of watching the same thing happen again and again and again. Is he going to learn from his mistakes? Is he going to make adjustments? And if you get a lead, and you got to have a lead against the Chiefs, will you get the ball across the goal line? I am so tired of the field goals and the field goal unit out there on the field. I want touchdowns. Touchdowns to start the game. I do not want to see another 49ers 3, Chiefs 0 to start the game. No, I want to see 7-0. And the 49ers need to keep adding on and adding on and adding on. And though they beat the Seahawks last week, the score was 16-0. And if you do the math, what is that? 3 field goals and a touchdown to start the game. You are not going to beat the Chiefs like that. And the Chiefs have given teams opportunities to beat them this year, and they haven't taken advantage of it. When they don't have an explosive offense, and Patrick Mahomes has turned the football over. Look at his statistics. 6 touchdowns to 6 interceptions in 5 games. We're talking about Patrick Mahomes. Doesn't tell the whole story, though. His completion percentage is still excellent. And when you need him to get the job done late in a game, he does it. Whatever it takes, that's Mahomes. And that's one of the marks of a champion and a great player, an all-time great player, is they find a way to get it done when the pressure's on late in games. Now with the 49ers, we'll start there. Will Jordan Mason be healthy? That's a big question. Will they be able to run the ball effectively against this Chiefs front? Because you know the 49ers did not run the ball enough in either of the Super Bowls. They didn't. They ran the ball effectively enough in both, and then they got away from it. They could have kept running the ball, and they didn't. And that's been a head scratcher with Kyle Shanahan. You have a better quarterback with Purdy, but if you're running the ball effectively, make the opponent stop you. Make them stop you. And will the 49ers have someone in the passing game that steps up. George Kittle, very quiet in both Super Bowls. We know he was hurt and playing hurt in the Super Bowl last year, but he was a non-factor in the passing game, Kittle. It's got to be different this time around. And is it going to be Ayuk or is it going to be Debo? One of them has to step up. You need one of those. I'm not saying you need a 100-yard game out of Kittle, but 75-yard game. That's something like that in that range. Some big plays from Kittle, and he's been the red zone target against the teams in the last few weeks because they've been looking for other ways to score without Christian McCaffrey, and that has been, I will give Shanahan credit, a good adjustment for the 49ers. Then I do need one of the receivers to have a big game. Ayuk, and it has been a bad start to the season for Ayuk. And not having training camp, not having preseason has hurt him. Debo's coming off a big game. I feel like of the two of them, it's going to have to be Debo. And Purcell's going to make his debut. We'll see what you can get out of him, but I don't have expectations for rookie receiver. And I'm going to miss Jennings. If Jennings not going to be able to go, Juwan's a big part of third down conversions. And then I have to say, a key for the 49ers, you need to consistently run the ball. You need to be patient. You need to get touchdowns and not settle for field goals. You need to be better in the red zone. Lack of turnovers, no more than one. And it better not be on special teams. And you have got to contain Chris Jones, because Chris Jones is one of the best defensive players in football. He is the best interior player, defensive lineman in football. He's big. He's more athletic than people give him credit. I mean, 6'6", 300 plus. He gets those arms up. It's not necessarily about sacks, but he gets pressure. He gets his arms up. He gets deflections. And he is one of the best fourth quarter defensive linemen in football. He gets sacks when the team needs sacks at the end of the game for the Chiefs. I mean, he's a clutch player. He's a closer. And, if you've watched him over the years, it's interesting because at his size, you wouldn't think he'd be able to do this. He can bounce outside and play defensive end. Chris Jones can do that. He's athletic enough. So a major matchup is Chris Jones against the guards of the 49ers. We'll see where he lines up, if it's against Banks or Pooney, but you feel that they would be better equipped with Pooney this year to deal with Chris Jones. But that is a tough assignment for the Chiefs against the 49ers. And here's another thing. The 49ers have got to beat the Chiefs with blitzing. The Chiefs blitz a lot. And can they take advantage of that? The Chiefs played so much man in the Super Bowl. Will they continue to do that? Because Brock Purdy's very strong against his own defenses. When the Chiefs have the ball, will they not just go after Devondre Campbell? Who wouldn't? I'm concerned that although Kelsey has gotten off to a slow start, maybe he has slowed down some, that he may have a big game if the 49ers keep Campbell out there. And will the Chiefs make the 49ers stop them with the running game? Because that's the thing, the 49ers got ahead of the Seahawks. They didn't have to worry about the Seahawks running the football. And they don't have that good of a rushing attack anyway. But the 49ers run defense has its problems. They have some very good young defensive backs. and they've had some injuries in the secondary. There's overall more talent in the secondary. I have to say, I would think with the injuries the Chiefs have at receiver, they are going to attack Campbell at linebacker with Kelce, and then they are going to make a concerted effort to really run the football. As the 49ers, if they're going to win, they're going to have to win in the trenches. They're going to have to win up front. I would imagine this is going to be a close game. Game that's going to come down in the end, like the Super Bowls are. But I don't see the 49ers getting off to some big lead. I don't see that happening. I'll take the Chiefs 27-24. I mean, I hate saying it, but I see them winning this again. The 49ers have too many problems. Not the Chiefs team of the past. I think they'll get better as the season goes on. But if the 49ers were to win this, it would be such a boost for them. I mean, if you lose to the Chiefs again, I mean, it's going to be a really demoralizing loss. It's not just that you're 3-4, but you really can't beat them. You lost them in Super Bowl 54. You lost to them in the regular season game a couple years ago. You lost to them again in Super Bowl 58 in overtime, and then here's another home game, and is it going to be yet another loss to them? The 49ers, I want them to treat this like a Super Bowl game. I want them to put everything out there, and I want them to be aggressive. It's not that big of a game for the Chiefs. They're undefeated. I mean, the way they're going, it looks like the AFC is going to run through Kansas City again. And even if it doesn't, they don't care. I mean, that was such an impressive run they had last year, going through the teams they did on the road. I mean, in Buffalo, in Baltimore, and then coming back as they did against the 49ers. I'm picking the Chiefs. Picking the Chiefs in a close one. I just can't go against the better head coach, the better quarterback, the better defense, and better special teams. Too much to overcome for the 49ers. I hope to be proven wrong, but I'm not going to be a homer. I will pick the team that is the superior team. And that's the Chiefs.